and welcome to today's Move Your Small Business Marketing Forward webinar. Today's webinar is hosted by the Center for Entrepreneurship at Madison College, and we have guest speaker Sarah Hurley with us today. As owner and contract-based marketing director of Weber Marketing, Sarah provides strategic marketing consulting, planning, messaging strategy, project management, budget development, and creative direction for business-to-business and business-to-consumer clients. We will be recording today's webinar, and we'll send you a link later today if you would like to rewatch it, or maybe send it to somebody else who could also find Sarah's information valuable. And lastly, I would encourage you to turn your cameras on if you're able to do so. And if you have any questions, feel free to add them in the chat or go ahead and unmute yourself. With that, I think I'm going to turn it over to you, Sarah, if you're ready.
I am ready.
Perfect. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you to you and Madison College for inviting me to be with you guys this morning. And thank you all of the attendees for registering and joining me this morning. As mentioned, my name is Sarah Hurley. I'm local to the Dane County area. Actually, I'm in Cottage Grove. And I'm here to talk to you this morning about how you can move your small business marketing forward. And I'm going to warn you, I'm going to talk fast because I have a lot of information to share. I'm going to go deep into the details, so into the weeds of how you can be successful with small business marketing. So if you need to stand up, stretch, do some jumping jacks, feel free to, but stay in tuned and involved because we're going to get deep into it. And I need your participation. So there's going to be a few spots where I'm going to ask you to answer a question or two in the chat and we'll talk about it. And then Kelsey also put in she forwarded you guys, and then in the chat is a link to a worksheet that we're going to be working through today as well. So as mentioned, my business is Weber Marketing. My background is about 10 years was spent working at an advertising agency as an account executive. So there I learned sort of the multiple disciplines of marketing and how you work with creatives, how you work with media, how you build a website, how you do social media and things like that. I also worked within a smaller marketing department. So there I understood what it felt like to not have all of those creative resources at your fingertips. And then the last 11 years, I've been the owner and operator of my own marketing consulting firm, Weber Marketing. And at Weber Marketing, what I focus on is I did do a lot of the account executive stuff for probably the first 5 years of my business, where I would help smaller businesses build their website, build their brands, events, and things like that. I would say the last few years, I've focused more on marketing direction. So what I like to do is help businesses get set up for success so that they can be self-sufficient in their own right. I can help, put a direction for you, a plan, and then I can help with creative execution. But my hope is that actually you'll be set up for success to do those things on your own. So enough about me. This is where I'm going to ask 3 brave souls, maybe 2, we'll do 2 brave souls, to unmute and and get yourself on video. And I'd like to hear your name, your business, and what you're hoping to get out of today. So is there anyone that's brave that would be willing to unmute themselves and put them on video camera and introduce themselves?
I'll go first. My name is Brad Burt. I'm creating Operation Greenscape mindfulness boot camps. I'm using the Madison College mindfulness classes to help veterans transition back into civilian life through mindfulness.
Nice.
The VA is currently working virtually across the United States. There's a lot of grant money in this, so I'm going to jump on it. I'm also somebody who has been treated at the VA for post-traumatic stress disorder, so I know and have the eyes and ears to know what we need, and I'm going to lead veterans into the next generation.
Well, Brad, thank you for your service, and what a great thing to be looking forward to. Thank you for joining us this morning. Is there any other brave soul out there? Anyone?
Hi, I'm Tom Olson with the Walton Farm here in Cottage Grove, and I'm a general partner. We've been in business since 2002, and what I'm hoping to get out of this today is help to improve our marketing program. We built a new studio a year and a half ago, and with the pandemic, it's been hard to get it off the ground. We have done some things, but we always appreciate getting your insights, Sarah. So,
yeah. Hi, Tom. Your goal for your new studio, are you looking more to drive people in person or online? And you can't say both.
Well, ideally it would be both, but at this point, to make people aware of where we are and
Okay.
to focus on the in studio.
In studio. Okay. All right. Perfect. Well, thank you both, Tom and Brad, for being brave and introducing yourself. It's nice to meet you. And I hope to answer all of your questions today. So here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about marketing myths. I have 20 years of experience that I'm going to give you some tips right off the bat that people think are true about marketing that are actually false, or I need to caution and warn you a little bit about. Then we're going to talk about what is marketing, because I hear I need help with marketing a lot. But then when I start having these conversations with small business owners or even any size businesses, everyone's definition of what marketing is a little different. And that automatically sets you up to be confused with your creative partners and in your mind. So we're going to talk about what is marketing. And then I'm going to get a little deep in the weeds and talk about a discipline approach. This is the approach that I grew up with at the advertising agency. It's really thorough, but it makes sure that every check and balance is in place so that mistakes and, oh shoot, I wish we would have thought of that, don't happen. I'm also going to talk about how you can organize your marketing direction and create content. So how do you create those print ads or those social media posts and things like that? And then I have tips and tricks for execution. And then I really want to make sure I have time for Q&A. I have Q&A kind of throughout the presentation, but I want to make sure at the end that we have time for it as well. So the truth behind marketing success. Here we go. I'm going to start talking fast. Marketing myth number 1, marketing is easy. I can do this myself. Okay. False. Marketing is a huge discipline. There are lots of different steps and variables into it. I know as small business owners, we're tight on resources and budget, so we think we need to do it ourselves as much as we can. Be open to outsourcing a little bit here and there, and also be open-minded to the fact that you don't have to do everything. Just stick with a few things in marketing that you feel comfortable with and is within your skill set, and stay there and own it. So if you are not comfortable with digital marketing or digital advertising, I know this is going to be a shock, but stay away from it or hire out for it. If you're comfortable with social media and you really like Facebook, stay there and own it for your business. So don't feel like you have to be in all places at all times. I like to use this visual. Marketing is sort of this umbrella with all these raindrops underneath it. For the most part, most small businesses focus in that orange advertising area, and they think print ad or Facebook or email marketing and things like that. But as you can see, there's lots of different disciplines under the marketing umbrella that encompass what marketing is. Marketing myth number 2, I hear this a lot. My brother's wife's cousin can build my website for me, or your neighbor's kid that just graduated college. That might be true, but I'm going to throw up a warning caution sign for you. Number 1, you still have to be involved with the development of your website, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But when somebody offers to do something like this, your brother's wife's cousin, make sure that they actually have a background in this, or make sure that you are involved enough to see it through. I have taken over a lot of incomplete websites that the brother's wife's cousin started and then didn't finish or built incorrectly. So just be warned, that's not, even if the deal sounds good, just proceed with some little caution there. Things to think about when, especially with your website, who's going to manage it? Is your brother's cousin's wife going to manage it for you? Who's going to keep it up to date? So once your website goes live and you turn the go light on, it's not done. Your website is an ever evolving piece of your marketing puzzle. create a sitemap. So you can Google this. Google's my best friend as a small business owner. If you don't know what a sitemap is, it's basically, actually, I have a little example here. It's an outline to your website. So if you're thinking about how to build your website, go back to your English class days when they had you build an outline. And a sitemap for your website is an outline to what's going to be all included on your website. It's a really great way for you to get out of your head and start visualizing the organizational way of your website. The other thing to do with your website is to start small. Some people think, oh, I got to have this, I got to have this, I got to have this. Start small in what you can manage and actually keep up to date before you start building out. And then piece out the work. So this is my website. I redid it about a year ago. I pieced out some work and had to bring people in because I wasn't an expert in some of these areas. So even I created my sitemap. I drew it out on a piece of paper. I got some original photographs and things like that. So I went out and hired a photographer to help me take pictures that would be used on my website instead of doing stock photography. But then I hired out a writer to help me bring my vision to life. And then I had my graphic designer who is knowledgeable with Wix, which is what I built my site off, help me bring it to life. Now I still manage it day to day. I update the content and I keep it fresh, but even I still had to bring people in to help me bring it all together. I'll just hire someone to do my social media, or I'll hire someone to do my newsletter. Again, a little bit of a warning to you. That's fine if social media is outside of your comfort zone, but you still have to be involved with the strategy and what's being put out in your social media channels. And we're going to talk about this today. So yes, you can hire someone for it. That's fine, but it is not a set it and forget it and let them do it. You as the owner, you as the business owner have to stay involved with it. This is my favorite one. Great creative equals great marketing. If we hire the best graphic designer in the area, we are automatically going to have great marketing. This is false. I would rather bank on longevity and consistency than great creative. So this goes back to my comment before. As small business owners, we have all these ideas in our head of all these things we should be doing for marketing. You don't have to be everywhere. Do less and stay there and be there for a while and be consistent and own that space. So if you want to do email marketing, fine, own it. If you want to do social media, fine, stay there and own it. Don't feel like you have to do 100 different things and hire the best graphic designer in the area. Yes, it's great when great creative comes around, but really it's about longevity and being consistent in that channel. The cheaper, the better. Outsourcing is more expensive. This is false. Cheaper is not better. Make sure you are comparing your proposals from, if you're having someone build your website, compare apples to apples. Make sure you're designing your website or your sitemap and share it with those folks. And outsourcing necessarily isn't more expensive than your time. Yes, your time is free, but what's your skill set? If you're spending more time trying to build a website than you are trying to business development, is that time really equal? So think about those things. My biggest piece of advice for today for you is if you want something out of marketing, you need to be willing to invest in marketing. And that means your time as a small business owner. I'm included in this as a small business owner. I have to invest my time in my own marketing and business development if I want to get anything out of it. So what is marketing then? Open up the chat. If you could, get your keyboards next to you. There's no wrong answer to this in the chat box. When you think of marketing, what is marketing? How would you describe it to somebody? Don't be afraid. Just what do you think? What's marketing? When you describe marketing, what is it to someone? Marketing is trademark and brand. interaction with the consumer that develops the brand, how you present your business to your target market, your company's presence in the community, right? Good, keep going, getting the word out about your business and branding, right? So this is perfect, reaching your consumers. This is great. Do you see how all of us have a little bit different definition of what marketing is, right? So when you all come to somebody like me and say, I need help with my marketing, all of a sudden my mind is like, okay, well, what part of your marketing? Because everybody's definition. This is my interpretation of marketing. Everyone's familiar with the price, product, placement, promotion, right? You probably learned that in high school marketing, or you've heard of it, right? If we dig a little deeper into it, okay, now get back to the chat. What's brand? What's your brand versus marketing? What's the difference between your brand and marketing? So go back to the chat and think about it. What's your brand? How would you describe what a brand is versus marketing? This is hard because some people use them interchangeably. Branding is the ideology of the business. Marketing is seeing the ideology into action. The brand is your personality and the marketing is the action. Great, good. Yes, identity brand versus getting business marketing, goodwill of the company. Good. That's pretty good. So this is the definition that I like. So your brand, your business, your company's brand is a public image, reputation, or identity conceived of as something to be marketed or promoted. A public image or reputation. Marketing is the process or technique of promoting, right? It's the process or technique of promoting, selling, distributing, or product or service. So you remember that umbrella that had all those little droplets under marketing? Brand is actually under that umbrella, but this is how they're separated. So right here, so this is that umbrella, remember? So brand identity actually falls under marketing, but it is its own thing. And this is how, if you separate the two, I love this visual. On the left-hand side, the blue side, your brand is your name, your voice, your logo. And what is voice? What does that mean, right? So that means how you're communicating on your website. That's how you're communicating through your social media. That's your customer service line. When somebody calls into your company, is the greeting warm and welcoming? On the right-hand side, your marketing are your campaigns. So your direct mail pieces, your digital marketing campaigns, your offers, all those things like that. So do you see sort of the separation between the two? So again, when you're coming to somebody like me and you're saying, I need help with marketing, but then you say, I need help with my logo, that helps me sort of funnel in what type of marketing that you're looking for help with. So I'm not going to ask you to answer in the chat, but the next one was advertising versus marketing. This is a little more tricky as well. So marketing is the planning, implementation, and control of the mix of activities. On the right-hand side, advertising is only one component. And the reason I'm separating these two is because a lot of times in small business owners' minds, they're one thing when they're separate things. So again, you don't need to put this in the chat. Digital marketing versus social media. This one gets a little tricky as well. Digital marketing sort of its own umbrella as well, but under the digital marketing umbrella is your website, mobile marketing. So a lot of things that come on our phone, video ads, email marketing, content marketing. On the right-hand side, search engine optimization, SEO work, which and PPC, you might be hearing a lot of those two things, and then social media. So, and when you're thinking of digital marketing and I need help with digital marketing, these are the things that you have to be thinking about of what part of digital marketing do I need help with? Search engine marketing, SEM, is probably one of the more important parts of digital marketing that you need to be thinking about for your small business right now. So search engine marketing includes SEO, which is search engine optimization, and pay per click. So what that is let's say I go to Google, or a consumer goes to Google and they Google air conditioner, okay? Your SEM strategy make sure that on the bottom there, see the green on the right-hand side, the green, the SEO. Okay, so those are the search engine results that come up from websites. Search engine optimization has to do with the keywords that are associated to your website that consumers are searching on. So you see the little descriptions, how air conditioner is highlighted. There we go. See how air conditioner is highlighted in bold? That's the search engine optimization, the keyword within that website that is triggered by the search result. Pay-per-click is the advertising up here. So when you're thinking of your digital strategy, it's nice to know the difference between these so that you can help guide the conversation and guide your mindset as well. So what is marketing? I don't know how to get rid of this little mark here. Oh well. So what is marketing? Again, the what is the little raindrops underneath the umbrella. The how is where I like to come in to help small business owners with developing a strategy, a marketing plan, implement, measure, and refine. These steps right here are the ones that are usually missed. Usually small business owners come right to, I'm trying to find my mouse. It usually has a little pen and I don't see a little pen. Sorry. Okay. Can you see my mouse? Tom, can you shake your head? Can you see my mouse? Okay, I'll just use my mouse. Okay. Usually small business owners jump right to brand advertising or brand identity. So what I like to help small business owners, and you can do this yourself, is thinking of a strategy, which we'll talk about today. We'll talk about how you create a marketing plan, steps to implement, measure, and refine. So make sure you're thinking of the how and not just the what. And if you're wondering where that umbrella of marketing comes into play, it comes after the strategy is developed and you create your marketing plan. And this will make sense as we go through the morning. So my takeaway today is understand your ask before you ask. So as you're thinking through all of your marketing stuff that you need to be thinking about, understand what part of marketing that you need the most help with. And that will help start guiding your mindset, your brainstorming, and your conversations. So there was a worksheet that was sent out to you. It looks like this, or it's in the chat. I would like you to look at question number 1. And if you have it printed out, mark it up, or if you have it saved on your desktop, just answer it, or just think about it and write it on your notes, however. What area do you need the most help with your small business? And this is for you to take away with. So just think about what area do you need the most help with?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Yep. I am taking a social media writing class this summer. Yep. And I recently did a blog review of a woman that I found on YouTube. She also has her videos posted on her website for like separately from her blog, which I thought was weird. But does that count as digital or social? Because it's on YouTube, but also not. And does she own that, or does YouTube own that?
Oh, good question. So if I'm understanding, she has a blog and she has videos that she produces or posts through YouTube on her blog, but then she also puts it on her YouTube videos on her website. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know the answer of who owns it. I would probably say YouTube owns it. And my guess is she has it in both spots on her website for SEO purposes. So videos draw in a lot of organic search. And so my guess would be she's trying to capture as much organic search as she possibly can. So when you post videos on your website, you can capture, or it's called title tagging, or tagging keywords. So she might be underneath the hood of her website and not on the public view, but on the underneath the hood of her website, she might be tagging keywords that she's trying to capture. That would be my guess. And so that would, to me, would fall under the digital category.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I have a,
Yep.
I'm sorry. I have a question as well.
Yep.
Okay, I'm looking at the workshop that you, I'm sorry, the worksheet that you put in the chat for us.
Yeah.
And under question number 1, you know,
Yep.
what do you need the most help with?
Yep.
So I know we talked about all of these things. When we say number 2, marketing how, is that you're saying, I don't know really where to start with, whether I need the most help on digital or I guess
say,
that's my question.
Yeah, I would say you would need most help with the digital how or marketing how. So you're looking for a strategy, because before you can pick, and we're going to talk about this here. So I'm glad you brought that question up, because we're going to talk about that in a bit here. But before you can get into a marketing plan, that's why it's step 2. Step 1 is to develop a strategy. And there's actually a step we're going to talk about before that as well that relates to your business as a whole. But you need a strategy first before you can come up with putting a plan in. Otherwise, you're just guessing. So if you just ask that question, my response to you is you would probably check the marketing how.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. The next question, if you notice, question number 2 is, what does success look like? I cannot tell you how much small business owners cannot answer this question. So what does success look like for the thing that you just checked? And you're probably like, I don't know, or drive sales or things like that. Make sure you're thinking through, what do I want out of that check that you just did in number 2? So I'm going to use your example of marketing how. What you would probably answer is, what does success like? I get organized. I put a plan together. I have a strategy. I have a strategy that falls into a plan, right? So right now you're probably got a lot of things in your head or not sure where to go. What success looks like to you is to get organized with your marketing, right? That it doesn't mean you have a dollars or cents associated to it. Of course, that's ultimately the end goal. But right now you just want to get organized. And that's what success looks like. And that helps conversations with folks like me. And it helps conversations with your head of what you need to start with, right? There's always a starting point with marketing. We can't just jump to the billboard that we see driving down the Beltline. We can't just jump to radio ads. We can't just jump to email marketing. We have to take a few hops back and start with the starting point. So just think about what success looks like for you with the check mark. Any other questions about this section before I move on? Okay. So a disciplined approach to marketing, which might actually surprise some of you. Again, I go back to my thing of, you need to be willing to invest your time in marketing. And this right here, this frame, if I could capture it and frame it on your wall, and I want you to think about this as business owners, there are 3 steps to a disciplined approach to marketing. And the first step actually is your business goals. I speak with so many businesses that don't have business goals. They have business goals of, we need to drive customers, or I need to drive sales and things like that. But we're going to talk about how you get a little bit more specific. And I also hear an interchange of business goals, marketing strategy, and marketing plan sort of mixed in together. They are 3 different steps that you have to take your mind through, whether you document it on paper, you write it on a computer, or you talk it through with your team. So business goals describe what a company expects to accomplish over a specific period of time. It has nothing to do, okay, hear me when I say this, business goals have nothing to do with email marketing, digital strategy, social media. As a business, what is the goal you are trying to achieve over a certain amount of time? That feeds into your marketing strategy. And if there's a key word, when you think about a strategy, the key word I want you to hear is approach. What is your approach for achieving those business results? Again, a marketing strategy is not digital marketing. It is not email marketing. It is not social media. That's not where those things start to come into play. What's your approach to achieving your business goals? Then we get into your marketing plan. That's the umbrella of things where you start to pick out digital, social media, email marketing, right? So your marketing plan is the roadmap to organize and execute and track your strategy, okay? So here, we're gonna go through an example of how you develop your business goals. When I'm talking with small, actually any size business, I don't care if it's a large business, medium, small, it doesn't matter. These are the goals that I hear for business: drive sales, get more customers, increase profitability, right? This sounds familiar. These aren't wrong, but these are what I would describe as generic business goals. I want you to push yourself and say, drive sales in what area of your business, or get more customers from where? In a certain geographic, a demographic, increase profitability in what part of your business? When you push yourself to ask and dig a little deeper of what your business goals, you're going to start setting up your mind frame to think a little deeper and get a little bit more narrow in where you want your marketing to go. Okay, so if you have generic business goals, let's take the top line, drive sales. If you ask yourself in what area of your business goal might actually, your specific business goal might be increase single product client portfolio by $10,000 per month. Increase single product client portfolio by $10,000 per month. That means I want to increase the people that I'm doing business with that's only buying one product or service from me right now to 2, okay, or 3. Get more customers. From where or what geography? Enter Southwest Wisconsin healthcare market and achieve 20% market share by 2021. Do you see how these business goals are a little bit more specific? And do you see how it can start framing up the direction that you're going to start taking your marketing? Increase profitability in what part of your business? Where? So I want to reduce installation time and on-site technician support by 10%. Okay. So we have those specific business goals. Then you move into writing a marketing strategy. Again, the key word there is approach. What is your approach going to be for achieving your business goals? Okay, I'm not going to get into too much of a strategy. If you want to head over after this to my website and /content, I have a free strategy guide that you are available to download. It kind of goes into a lot of detail again, but it breaks it down for you of how you think about your approach. So after your strategy, after your approach, we go into our marketing plan, right? So that's the roadmap of when we're going to start doing these things. When you think about your marketing plan, the umbrella, right, of all the different things, you have to think about the consumer journey. I'm sure some of you have probably seen something similar to this. But on the left-hand side, a prospect, somebody that has never even heard of you, doesn't know that you exist, is in the awareness phase, right? We need to build interest and awareness. Then we bring them through the consideration. So now they may have heard of your business, they might have heard of your product, and now they're weighing it. Like, do I do business with this person or not? Then there's the conversion, that's the purchase. Right? That's where you start to make a little money, but your marketing efforts are not done there. You have to build loyalty and advocacy. Why? Okay. So if we go down under awareness on the left-hand side here, this is the person going through awareness. These are all the tactics or things, the marketing mixes that you could do under an awareness to build awareness of your product or your business. Once you move over into consideration, find and reputation is what is important there. This is where like SEO, SEM, pay-per-click, reviews, blogs, infographics, all of these things are really important. See this at the bottom, word of mouth, right? Word of mouth is really important into consideration when people are weighing whether to do business with you. How do you get word of mouth? Well, let's hold on to that thought. Under conversion, we have purchase. These are all of the sort of tactics and things you need to think about under conversion or pick out. Loyalty, post-purchase expectation versus reality, okay? Purchase expectation versus reality. You got somebody to convert with you and buy your product or service. Did it meet their expectations? Did you promise a good quality product that the stitching wouldn't come out and they got it and there was a hole? Okay, that's the expectation did not meet the reality. Organic influencer, reviews, share, word of mouth, engagement. Okay, now here's this dotted line. This is where advocacy down here, way on the left hand or the right hand side of the chart, where somebody's buying from you, they're loyal, and now they start talking about you, right? That now they start, they're the mom sitting at the baseball game, sitting next to the other mom, sharing about the experience they just had with their business. That's gold, right? That's what we want. And so that's where making sure that when you're thinking of your marketing plan, where on the consumer journey is the person you're trying to target, right? Are they down here in the awareness phase where they have no idea who you are? Or are you trying, hey, we've got a good solid customer base and we really want to utilize them, referral marketing, right? These two areas down here, loyalty and advocacy, referral marketing, is where you need to put your money into it, right? How do you start doing word of mouth? How do you get engagement? You ask, you think of marketing programs or initiatives that utilize your current customer base, your advocates, to your benefit, right? So let's say that I'm working, you're going through this and you're like, oh, I really don't have a lot of I'm trying to build awareness of my business, right? Brad, maybe this is where you are in terms of getting your thing launched. And you think, okay, I need social media and search. I need online advertising. You said, Sarah, that SEO, SEM is really important, and blogs and infographics, okay? So I think those are the things that I need to be doing. How do you sort of figure out if you can do them? How do you know if those are the right things for you to do, right? How do you know that's the right marketing mix? My advice for you for evaluation is before you sign on a dotted line with a digital advertising firm or with Google or a writer or the person that's blogging or whatever, tips for evaluation of if it should be included in your marketing plan is, does it align with your business goals? Okay. In your business goals, did you talk about building awareness of your business? Or did your business goals have something to do with more referral marketing, right? So does it meet the criteria with your business goal? What defines success? We talked about that. If you're going to sign on the dotted line with a digital advertising agency to do your digital marketing, what defines success for you in that? Is it building awareness, or is it them checking out on your online website, right? Those are two different types of success stories, and you need to figure that out or think about it. Of course, budget, right? That's usually the key factor, but it's only one of many factors that you should use to evaluate what programs are right for you. What's your communication objective? Again, are you talking to prospects that have never heard of you, or are you talking to advocates? Those are two different types of conversations and marketing communication that you should be doing. Are you being reactive or proactive? I hear a lot of times, well, our competitors got a great social media presence and we've got nothing, so I want to have a great social media presence. Well, just because your competitor is doing it, is it the right thing for you? And can you stay there for a long time and own it? You know what I mean? I remember I talked about longevity and consistency. Can you own that space? Tracking and reporting, we'll talk about. Just because you turn the light switch on your digital marketing campaign or your social media campaign, you're not done. You got to be looking at it. You got to be seeing what's going on with it and understanding it enough that you can make changes. And, be okay with parking the idea for a while. This might sound strange coming from somebody like me, but if you really want to do digital marketing or social media, but you're just, it's not your skill set and it kind of gives you anxiety, park it for now. Bring it up later. That's fine. I'd rather have you not go down a path and be unsuccessful with it than just parking it until you're ready to invest your time. And my number one tip for you to evaluate your ideas is, do you know enough to manage this? You do not need to be a social media expert. You do not need to be a digital marketing expert, but you do need to know enough that when you partner up with somebody or you start down that path, you know enough of the conversation that you can own your investment with it. So my takeaway for you from this last section is marketing success is dependent on a disciplined approach. And believe it or not, marketing success just starts with specific business goals. I am telling you, my friends, this morning, if you start with specific business goals with your day and your business, your marketing is only going to benefit from it. Now, some of you are like, hey, I'm a small company, Sarah. I don't have the marketing know-how to go through this marketing strategy or this marketing planning. Like, whoa, this is too much detail for me. I get it. If I could just get you to this spot where you are writing not generic business goals, but you're pushing yourself to be specific business goals, and then go through and prioritize them. Which one can you really handle and tackle this quarter, this year? And then go after that. This screen right here will set you up for more marketing success than by skipping over this. And it's so important to me that you guys think about your business goals and then you prioritize them. That on question number 3 on the worksheet, you'll see it asks, define 3 business goals and then prioritize them. Don't worry about getting the right wording. Don't worry about, is it perfect? This is just for you to get something out of your head right now and on paper. So on question number 3, think about, what are 3 business goals, and then prioritize them. And I'll throw this one up there, just so if you need to steal this and tweak it for yourself, that's fine. But also think about that consumer journey, right? So maybe it's more helpful if I put this up here. Think about where your consumers are on the journey and what kind of business goals do you have for yourself? And I'll take just a minute because I know I want to keep moving. All right. Now, if that was hard for you, that's okay. It's not meant to be easy. It's not meant to sit through this and be like, oh, I get it. It's going to take a little practice and a little time, but I'm going to push you today to get outside of your comfort zone, because we're business owners, and that's what we have to do from day one we opened our business, is get outside our comfort zone. So, all right, so we talked about a strategy. I told you there's a document on my website, but I'm just going to fly through how you think about your approach in defining a strategy, okay? So you just wrote out your business goals, right? You prioritize them or you sketch something out. So how do you take that business goal and define a strategy and build out a plan, okay? So I'm going to introduce you to my husband's business. This is Masterpiece Exteriors. He's a home improvement company here in Cottage Grove, and he's been in business for, I think, 25 years. So I have his permission to use him as an example. So let's say, and this has happened, right? It's great. Man, it must be nice having a wife that does marketing. But if you've ever worked with your spouse, sometimes those things don't go well. But so we've had those conversations, and here's how it goes. So I say, what's your business goals? And I get the same response: drive sales, get more customers, increase profitability, right? Not wrong, but I push them through. Okay, we'll drive sales in what area of your business, get more customers where, increase profitability in what part of your business, right? Going through the same process you and I just went through. So if we're going to get specific with the business goals, drive sales really means grow whole home improvement projects with existing former clients. Okay, do you see how that starts to get a little more narrow? Get more customers from where? Geography. Enter Middleton market territory. I'm getting more specific. Increase profitability. Increase window sales by 1% each month. Do you see how this is starting to narrow in and help the mindset? Okay, so now I've got the specific business goal. So how do I develop a marketing strategy from this? Okay, how do you get from specific business goals to what? You ask yourself, what's the approach? What can I handle as a small business owner? What can I accomplish? So how am I going to grow whole home improvement projects with existing former clients? Because here's what was happening. So for Masterpiece Exteriors, they started out doing exterior work. So siding, windows, gutters, doors, roofing. Well, after the good experience with the crew, homeowners were starting to come back and say, hey, do you guys do kitchen remodels, or can you build our screen porch, or, you know, more, they wanted to continue to do work with this good contractor. And yes, we do. So what we started to realize is once you start building a relationship with one homeowner, you just keep the projects going, right? So how do we get more of those types of projects? And the answer was create communication process or a plan to build awareness on additional service offerings to leverage customer contact time or follow up with previous engagement. So I'm going to repeat that. What's our approach? Create communication plan to build awareness on additional service offering to leverage customer contact time and or follow up from previous engagement. Because here's what's happening. Some homeowners were coming back to Masterpiece Exteriors and saying, hey, do you do bathrooms, kitchens, decks? Yes, we do. But not everybody knew that, right? So not all of our previous customers knew that we were doing that. We had to build awareness. You cannot assume people know what you are offering across your portfolio. They may have done business with you in one part of your business, their product or service. You have to make them aware of all that you offer if you want to expand that portfolio. Does that make sense? So we had to actively come up with a plan of how we're going to place the little nuggets of the fact that we do whole home improvement projects and not just exteriors. We can't assume, right? So now here's the big thing. On the left-hand side was the strategy that we just talked about. So how do we get to the marketing plan, the umbrella with all the fun stuff, right? So you take your strategy on the top left, create communication plan to build awareness, and you ask yourself, okay, where is this on the consumer journey? What are the options for me to pick from? What is realistic for me to accomplish, right? I'm a small business owner. I'm a person of one. I don't have a big budget. I don't have the Felco budget. You know, like, how do we compete with that? Okay. So my marketing plan actually is create a follow-up email to completed projects from 12 to 14 months ago. I'm going to go back 12 to 14 months with the people I've already done business with and make them aware of what we offer. Create speaking points during the sales meeting. So when you're talking with prospects moving forward, when are you going to let them know, make them aware that you don't just do their windows, that afterwards you can talk about their kitchen, you can talk about their screen porch. Creating a footer in our estimate, invoice, or email signature were the easy things. Create one post a week on Facebook focused on services. That's what I can accomplish as a small business owner, okay? That just took thinking and documenting, but can you see how in my mind and where my time and my investment is going to be spent is a little bit clearer by just taking the time to do this, right? I want to just point out in the one below, so create the digital plan for awareness. You guys can look at this, you know, afterwards. See the dollar signs on some of these, and some of them don't have dollar signs. As small business owners, we typically don't have large investments or big budgets for marketing. A lot of these things under my marketing plan aren't things that I have to spend money on. I have to invest my time. So again, I go back to, if you want something out of marketing, you have to be willing to invest in marketing. And a lot of times as small business owners, that's your time. So a lot of my marketing plan for Masterpiece Exteriors doesn't include expense that I have to pay someone. It's my time. Look for efficiencies, okay? When you get your marketing plan done, look for ways that you can do things together or time things out that your marketing campaigns are either running conjunctively or you can benefit from print costs. So just sometimes take a step back and think, what can I do together for efficiencies? Okay, so my takeaway from this section, and I hope it started to kind of make sense, is skipping over your business goals and a strategy, which strategy is your approach, results in a guessing game. Okay, marketing calendar. this is really important. I don't know about you, but I have a lot of things in my head, or I often hear about events or sponsorships after they happened or in the middle of the year. And I'm like, why didn't I know about this? It's because you didn't start off with a marketing plan. So this is just a basic spreadsheet that I put together, that I have, the about company, about branding stuff, about us. My products might be product A, B, or C. It might be a service for you. You could have event marketing. Maybe you're going to be doing events or sponsorships, and then marketing communications. And you sort of just map out when you're going to do it. Do you need a fancy spreadsheet like this? No, but here's a little trick. If you Google marketing calendar, there's a lot of free ones that you can download. So just Google marketing calendar and you can download it. The other thing that I tell people is, do you ever get these free calendars from people at the start of the year from like school, businesses, churches, wherever? Grab them and just mark things down that, if you've got your community festival or if you have seasonality to your business or service that you really like to hit the fourth quarter strong. Write it out and just get it out so that you're prepared and you can start thinking about it. So I want you to take question number 4 on the worksheet is take a moment and think about what upcoming or known events that you could start your marketing calendar with. Again, is there seasonality to your product? Are there community events coming up? Are there yearly promotions or a new product launch? Like when are you thinking of launching a new product? Just as an example, this is what maybe mine might look like for Masterpiece Exteriors. In the fall, they've got a window and door promotion that they want to do for that Middleton market. That might come in the third quarter, right? Because fall is in the third quarter. Maybe I want to make sure that my community involvement is intact. So I'm going to think about sponsoring the spring soccer club, the Cottage Grove Firemen's Festival, and Christmas in the Grove, which is a big community event out here in Cottage Grove. So then I can start seeing in Q4, I'm going to do the sponsorship. What else can I do with it? I'm going to sponsor the Cottage Grove Fest. What else can I do with it? And Christmas in the Grove. Maybe I want to push service calls and extended warranties. I'm going to start that in Q3 so that I can, kind of start those conversations early. Spring home improvement projects. I'm actually going to start that in fourth quarter because those conversations take a while to get planned out so that when spring does arrive, we're ready to roll. So just take, 30 seconds and think about on question 4, what are the things that you know about in your community, in your world that you might want to think about doing or seasonality or to your product or service? Okay. So this one's going to go fast and it's going to get in the weeds, but I want to make sure, how do you create your main message? So a lot of you probably are responsible for your own marketing and putting together your own social media and your website and your print ads and things like that. So how do you create a main message? Like, how do you figure out what to focus your messaging on? My basic rule is keep it simple. Okay. So keep it simple and don't be these people. Okay. Don't take out an ad or a social media graphic and just put everything that you do under the sun in one ad, right? This is overwhelming, right? This is like, whoa, what am I supposed to be looking at? Instead, think about, have you guys heard or seen this guy? I have no affiliation with Gruber Law Offices. I don't do business with them or anything like that. But if you are in Wisconsin and you enjoy any sort of Packer games or Badger games or Brewer games, or you drive to and from Milwaukee, you've seen him and their advertising. But it's simple, right? It's not this. It's got one message. And have you noticed how consistent he is and the longevity of the one call, that's all, right? Every single place you see or hear this guy, it's Gruber Law Offices, one call, that's all, right? My kids even can recite it. So what's your main message is speak in their language, not yours. Did you notice he's a law office, right? He's not using some law language, I don't know, fancy words or whatever. It's pretty simple. right? He's speaking in our language, not his. One of the things that I like to work through with customers or clients, and you can use this on your own, is, again, this is stopping and thinking, investing your time of when you're creating your main message, who are you talking to? Where are they on that customer journey, right? Is it people that have never heard of you, or is it people that are currently doing business? What's your main point of your message? It can't be everything, right? It can't be that obnoxious ad. And what's your keyword that you're trying to hone in on people? What's the feeling? What's the emotion that you want to come off of your main message? And why should somebody care? So how does this look for you doing this at your desk? One of the things when you think about who are you talking to, yes, you think of that consumer journey that we looked at, but a lot of times on the left-hand side, we just think of this sort of basic demographics. But what I want you to think about is this, we call it buyer personas. So you get into the demographics and psychographics. You think about their daily functions. You think about the role in the buying process. Is it the decision maker or is it the influencer? And in here, the challenges and pain points, what are you or your product or service solving for this person? Where's the value of them doing business with you or with your product or service? What challenges are you overcoming for them? That helps you sort of take away what your key differentiator is between you and your competitors. That starts to help you understand when you think about what are you solving, what's the value, that starts to separate you from the competition. That starts to separate you from that consideration set and puts your name at the higher part of the list. So again, my takeaway from this section is one ad, one message. So don't be the everything, throwing everything under the kitchen sink into the ad. One ad, one message. So as an example, how did these guys get here? Again, I have no idea, but I'm going to take you through a guess I have of how they got to one call, that's all, okay? And this is how you can walk through the process with yourself. Okay, so what's your main point or keyword, okay? So maybe on the left-hand side, the generic main point would be Gruber Law Office is the best law firm in Milwaukee. I ask clients a lot, what's your main point? What's your selling advantage? Why you, why your business? And I often hear, we are the best in the area, or we offer the best product in the area, or we have the greatest customer service in the area. Best, greatest, I'm going to push you to get more specific. What does that mean? Because everybody can say that. You need to differentiate yourself a little bit more. So go from generic of saying we're the best law firm in the Milwaukee area and get specific and get into the mindset. What problem am I solving? What's the value? And really my main point is Gruber Law Office team of injury lawyers shoulder the burden of negligence, right? That's what they do. They shoulder the burden of negligence. They take the burden off of you. You get in a car accident, you're scared, you're probably hurt, you have no idea what to do. Is it your fault? Is it their fault? Oh my gosh, all these people are calling you. They shoulder that burden for you, I think, right? I've never done business with them. I'm just using them as an example. But I'm guessing that's how you would be more specific. And their keyword is burden. They want to take the burden off of you. Why should someone care about doing business with Gruber Law Offices? Or why should somebody care about a Gruber Law Office billboard? Okay, their answer might be the generic version is we have 25 years, 30 years, I don't know, of experience and we're in the best in the area. Again, I hear this, we have 25 years of experience, a lot from small businesses. Why should I do business with you? Well, we have 35 years of accountant experience. What does that mean? Like, I have no idea what that means of 35 years. Does that mean you're going to be able to help me? Are you solving a problem for me? So I would push you to go from X years of experience and get specific with victims are already scared and unsure how to handle this, and they need a lawyer that isn't going to take advantage of them. Do you see how you, when you get there, that takes it to a little bit more specific? I have a question. So how do you create, I have someone's asking in the chat, how do you create a main point when you offer services to a variety of different client bases? Okay, so you just skipped over the first 2 points that we talked about. So the question in the chat is, how do you create a main point? How do you create a main point when you offer services to a variety of different clients. Your marketing can't be everything all the time to everybody. Go back to your business goals and look at where's my main area that I need to focus on, and what part of your business or your services is the best ROI for you. What part of your services is the shortest lead time? Are you trying to get into a different demographic with your services? Are you trying to get more productive? I don't know. So you create your main point by going back to your business goals first, creating a specific business goal, thinking about your approach, and then that's how you're going to be able to create your main message, right? I hope that answered it. So back to this Gruber Law Office example of, we have experience, victims are already scared and unsure of how to handle this, right? They need a lawyer that isn't going to take advantage of them. So this is how it got created, I think. I don't know. So who are they talking to? Victims of an accident feeling vulnerable and scared. What's the main point? Gruber Law Office team of injury lawyers shoulder the burden of negligence. Why should someone care? Victims are already scared and unsure of how to handle this, and they need a lawyer that isn't going to take advantage of them. So you're probably saying to me, Sarah, how did they go from this, or how do I go from this to one call, that's all, right? This top part, who are they talking to, main point, why should someone, is very wordy. Why would I go through this exercise, and how does it get me to one call, that's all? It's a mindset, right? It's a mindset that helps you start to narrow in on what you want your main message to be, or quite honestly, creative writing is something you might need to outsource. It's something I outsource myself. I'm okay writer, but I'm not a creative writer. So that's one of the areas that I invest my own marketing dollars is a creative writer, because I'm not that person. But if you can get to this point on your own, of who are you talking to, what's your main point, and why should someone care? And then you work with radio, or you work with billboard, or you work with your digital agency. This will help them immensely get you to one call, that's all. So it could be something you and your team could do on your own, but it might honestly be something, one of those things that you need to outsource. I'm going to skip over this just in the essence of time. But I want you when we're done today, or if you get bored in a little bit, go through the exercise of looking at your marketing calendar, select one of the items you're thinking through, and push yourself to think specifically, who are you talking to? You're not going to get it right the first time. It's going to feel uncomfortable, and you're going to go, I have no idea how to do this. Just put pen to paper. Just start the process and let your mind just think. Okay, don't worry about being right. Don't worry about nailing it. Don't worry about coming up with one call, that's all. But just push yourself to go through the process of who are you talking to with one of your marketing initiatives. So Katrina in the chat asked earlier, how do you create a main point when you offer services to a variety of different client bases? So I would say, if I'm working with you, or if I'm Katrina, I would think about, okay, I really in Q3 and Q4 want to offer service X, Y, and Z to moms that are busy with holiday shopping and are stressed, okay? I would think about that. Who am I talking to? Moms that are stressed and trying to find the perfect gift for their family and juggle 1,000 things under a short amount of time. What's my main idea? My service X, Y, and Z takes the burden off their shoulder by doing the shopping for them. I have no idea what Katrina's business is. I'm just using you as an excuse, sorry. But that's how you start thinking about it. And that's why your business goals start to help you answer these questions down the road. I just used an example, so I'll skip over this. Okay, so what's my takeaway from this section? What's your goal? What's your business goal? Okay, be specific. What's your approach? Be specific. What's your plan? Really think through not only being specific, but what can you actually accomplish on your own or with your team? And what's your main message? Remember that screen with those really obnoxious ads? Don't be those people, okay? One ad, one message, speak in their language, not your language. Your consumers, your prospects, your customers don't understand the vocabulary in your industry or in your business like you do, okay? Don't put an ad out there in your language. put an ad out there in their language that they can understand and resonate with. Any quick questions before I move on? Okay. If you need to stand up and do jumping jacks or stretching, you go for it, okay? So how do you create content? So content is the text, the writing, it's your print ad, it's your social media ad, and how do you get it out there, right? So we've created our main message. Now, how do I create the direct mail piece? How do I create my newsletter or my event, my promotion, right? So I've got a promotion that's coming up. How do I create the content to go along with it and I get it out there? Again, keep it simple. So we're going to walk through an example. So I'm going to pick up my marketing calendar here. I'm going to just pick on event 3 just because, and we're going to walk through a series or an example. So what happened to me, actually, we'll walk through an example of what happened to me in 2019 before COVID and everything. I was doing a lot of public speaking and it was something I wanted to do. So I got myself booked. 2020, I had a really good goal that I wanted to get out into 24 different speaking events. I was on track as of January 2020. I had 13 of them lined up and I was really excited. Well, we all know what happened in 2020 in March, February, March. Everything shut down. All in-person stuff went goodbye. A few things moved online, but I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to keep myself out there? How am I going to help my goal? How am I going to keep my company out there? So I thought, you know what? I'm going to create my own webinar series. Instead of going to be a guest on someone else's panel, I'm going to create my own. And so I decided that I was going to put together a webinar series. I didn't have a name for the webinar series. I didn't really have my focus yet, but I knew that's what I needed to do. So I went through the process myself, okay? I went through the same thing I just went through with you guys of who am I talking to, what's my main point, the keyword, and why should someone care? And what I came up with was I didn't have a name for my webinar series. I had no idea what I wanted to call it. But when I thought about who I was talking to is I wanted to talk to people that were responsible for marketing efforts and frustrated with missing the mark of marketing success. What was my main point and keyword is I wanted to really focus in on taking a disciplined approach to marketing matters. Can you tell from today that this is my main point, right? And why should somebody care about coming to my webinar series? Small business owners, marketing staff want their efforts to matter, but they don't know how or where to start. So that was sort of what I wanted to focus my webinar series. So what I came up with is on the left-hand side, right? Who am I talking to? What's my main point? And why should I care? I used this information to create my webinar series. I called my webinar series Chew on This Marketing with Sarah Hurley. I wanted to create and plant seeds. I wanted to plant seeds of inspiration and things to think about for small business owners and those in marketing departments that are frustrated and stuck and stalled about how they can move forward with successful marketing. So I created 3 different webinar series. And each series I had 2 panelists on, and we talked about topics about what happens with the impact of strategic planning. What happens when you don't do it? What happens when you do it? And the outcomes of it. And then I also had one of the collaboration between HR and marketing. And then I had one on the importance of marketing operations. It was a great success, but I too, myself, needed to go through this process of getting myself focused, right? I had a business goal. I wanted to get out into 24 different speaking events. My approach was I had myself signed up for a good majority, and then COVID hit. So like many of us in 2020, I had to pivot my own business of what I was going to do. So I created my own space. So how do we get this information out there? There's a content strategy called hub and spoke model, and you can Google this to get deeper into it if you want to. But this is how I visualize it. The hub is in the center, and then there's different spokes. So if you think of the hub as your main message, so I have the orange here. So the hub is your main message, or in my case, my main message was my Chew on This Marketing webinar series. Then I pushed my main message out into my spokes that were email, website. I really didn't do radio. I just needed something there because I can't afford radio, but I just put it there. And then social media and PR. Okay. So those were the spokes that I pushed my message out into so that my information would get out there. I had to, kind of change up my messaging a little bit in terms of what it looked like in each one of these channels. But this hub and spoke model is kind of cool to draw out on a piece of paper, or I don't know if you see behind me, I have my whiteboards. I use my whiteboards all the time for brainstorming and like thinking things through. Just draw a hub and spoke, draw this. If you have an event, a marketing campaign or something that you want to get out there, and think through what's your main message. And then what are your spokes going to be? What can you realistically accomplish on your own to get your message out there? It's a good model to use, and it helps you sort of get organized. We talked about that. It helps you get organized. My bonus tip to you though, with the hub and spoke model or any type of marketing you do, is before you hit the green light button or before you hit the go button or you turn something on or live, always follow the consumer path. So for example, if you put your main message out into an email and you blast it out to 200 some people, right? Before you hit the go, you send it, I want you to look at your email and think about, okay, what's my call to action? Where do I want to send people from my email? What is the ultimate goal of this email that I want to do? I probably want to drive them back to my website, right? Okay, does the link in your email drive them back to the right spot on your website? And what does that page look like? Does it match what you sent in the email? Because if it's different, that's a disconnect for your consumer. Your email and your landing page on your email should be in sync with each other so that it's recognizable to the consumer. Then when they're on the landing page on your website, what do you want them to do there? Are you wanting them to jump into your shopping section? Do you want them to sign up for your newsletter? Do you want them to sign up for your event? Right? So before you hit the green button, always follow that consumer path to make sure everything is working so that when you send out that email, it's an easy flow, a good experience. I'm going to skip over this too, but you can check on it on number 6 on the worksheet. The question is, think about what spokes might be of interest to you or your business and a good fit for your business needs. And then think about what challenges you might have to overcome. And what this means is, social media, I get asked a lot, what platforms are the best social media platforms? Okay. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all those things. My first response to you is, if you think Instagram is a good fit for your business, my first question to you is going to be, are you a user, right? Are you a user on Instagram? Do you understand how the platform works just as a regular civilian, a consumer? If not, create your Instagram account under your own personal name for the first couple of months and get used to the platform. Then start your business Instagram platform, because if you don't know how to use the platform on your own, you're never going to be able to be successful for it with your business. So just think about the challenges. If you want a digital media platform, which one, what are you going to have to overcome? And then think through those evaluation criterias, business goals, budget, can you manage it? Things like that. Quick questions before we move on. It is really raining here in Cottage Grove right now.
So I have a quick question, Sarah.
Yes.
So it sounds like for somebody like me who has who serves a lot of different clients.
Yep.
When I'm looking at a marketing plan, is it 5 different marketing plans, or is just one very, very long marketing plan?
It's okay. So the example that I had where I had 3 different business goals, and then I had 3 strategies, and then I had 3 different marketing plans. The answer could be all of the above. Remember when I showed that screen of prioritizing, right? So what's really where you can spend your most time and energy on? If you just pick one of those sections, that's an accomplishment. And you'll find your time is greater spent just on that focus. But a marketing plan can have multiple campaigns in it. A marketing plan can have multiple sections of, one section is focused on customer service. Maybe you've had a lot, and I don't know about your business in general, everybody, maybe a company's had really bad reputation for customer service. So one of your business goals for the years is to improve your customer ratings from a 2 and get it up to a 5. That can be included in your marketing plan of what's your approach to that and what's your plan to do those things, right? Or to correct those things. If you are marketing to a lot of different people, again, I go back to your business goals. You can't necessarily be everything to everyone. We're small business people. You're not trying to turn anybody away or not be appealing to everybody. But when you narrow in on your business goals, it helps you narrow in on a target market. And that helps your business plan or your marketing plan be a little bit more specific. So yes, a marketing plan can have multiple chapters to it, like little mini marketing plans, or you can just focus in on one that's your greatest need, your greatest return on your investment. Maybe it's where your skill set really lies and you want to focus in on there. So does that answer your question a little bit?
It kind of does, but this is also the reason why I always freeze at the part of bringing on a marketing person. So right. It's I'm a working artist. I'm a soap maker. I'm a writer. I have and I work with all of these things at one time, and being able to have, for my sanity, it's nice to have everything in one space, as opposed to having to have 5 websites, so it's always the yin and yang for me. It's the thing that we keep batting around. It's why I haven't pulled the trigger with the person who is working on our website, because it's like, what to do first, because the reality is I do all of these things at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I would go like, okay, I'm just going to clarify. I don't think you need a different website for each product or service you have, right? So you should have one website for your company that has all of your products and services listing under it. If you're looking for a starting point, I would start with your brand, right? So your tone, your look, your feel, your name. People spend a lot of money on what they should name their business. I understand that, and I'm not saying it's not of value, but your name is less important than how it's represented within your brand, and that perception versus reality that comes through. So even if your name is something weird or I don't know, different, but they have a good customer experience with you, that's going to create the loyalty versus what your name is, of your business. So if you're looking for a starting point, I would say, make sure that your brand is ready to go. Make sure that your base is ready to go. So I go back to your business goals. Or what Tom was talking about earlier, they just built a new studio, and they're either, I asked, are you trying to drive people in person or online, right? So I'd say the same thing to you. Are you trying to drive people in person or online? And if whatever that question is, I'd make sure that experience is set and ready to go. The next thing that I make sure people have, I'm going to sound like I'm talking out of both ends here, but a digital presence right now is essential. Like, you have to be visible online right now. Even if it's a 1-page website, you have to be searchable, right, in the digital space. I didn't say digital advertising. I didn't say social media. I didn't say any of those things, YouTube and stuff like that. I said digital presence, which means at the very basic level is your website. So for you, I would say, just in this 30 seconds I've talked to you, make sure your brand is in place. You understand your main message of what you're offering, why you're offering it, who are you talking to? It doesn't mean you're not trying to appeal to everybody, but where is that sweet spot of where you think you can enter in the market first? Think about, what is the goal of what you're trying to get people to do? Is it to attend art gallery openings or your shows, or get them online and purchase something, or are you doing craft shows? You know, I don't know. And then digital presence. So is that 3 different marketing plans? Well, kind of, but the starting point is your brand, but it can be in the same book, if you will, right? It's just got different chapters to it. Does that help a little bit more?
Gotcha. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to get into the weeds here, my friends, and this is what I've learned over 20 years. And this is where I sit with clients, because it is what can make or break your budget. I'm sure many of you have worked with marketing folks and have been disappointed with the results because it's either gone over budget or it hasn't turned out the way that you were hoping it would, but there's been disappointment and thus hesitancy to move on with marketing folks, okay? So here's why, probably. Number 1 tip for you as a marketer or as a business owner, with planning and execution, you can never assume somebody you're working with, and that includes your team members, gets what's in your mind, okay? Even if you can't articulate what's in your mind, never assume they're going to know you hate the color green or you don't like triangles, right? You can't assume they know these things unless you communicate with them. So here's how you do that. Okay, again, we're going to get into the weeds. Have your coffee. Here we go. Stand up. Okay, a job description. This is so hard for people to articulate. You thought creating your main message was hard. This is harder, okay? So you've got your business goals, you've got your strategy, you've got your marketing plans or chapters to your books. Now, how do I pick out that digital marketing plan and start to implement it, okay? You need to write a job description, not only for yourself, but everybody around you, okay? It clarifies what the job is you're trying to accomplish. It houses important information, event dates. Where is the landing page you want to direct your digital campaign to? Colors. I hate the color green. Do not use green on anything of my stuff. It forces conversation before execution. So before you go sign the dotted line with that digital company and they hit the go button, it forces you and them to have a conversation about what the job is and what success looks like before it happens. And it reduces mistakes and misunderstandings and rework, right? Rework will drive your budget every single time and likely make it go over, okay? And it's always this finger pointing of this and this and this and that. Stop, okay? It's your project. You need to own it, okay? A job description is just a document. This is mine that I use. You can use whatever you want, okay? But my job descriptions go into detail of what the project description is. I have a positioning information, which means what's the purpose of your business or service. I have a timeline where I'll write out all of the actions, the due dates, and the owner, right? Creative mandatories means I hate the color green. I don't like triangles. I need to make sure my call to action has this phone number to use and ask for Betty, right? Don't assume everybody knows Betty's your customer service rep. Nobody knows that but you. So you need to put it in the job order. Production specifications. If you're doing a print ad, what's the size of the ad? Special instructions for delivery, things like that. So make sure that you have a place that you're housing the information of your project, because you know, you might be saying like, let's be honest, who has time to document this stuff and why does it matter? It matters because if you don't know the answer, then who will? Okay. So you're hesitant. I'm going to go back to you. Sorry for the example, but you're hesitant to move forward with a marketer because you don't know the answer to help direct them, right? So they don't know how to help you unless you kind of get out of your head of what you're looking for, and then they will. Okay. So let's look at an example, and I'm going to go fast. I keep saying that, but we're at 10:25. Okay. So step one, right? We talked about a goal. This is so important. I'm going to enter the Middleton market territory. My approach is going to demonstrate home improvement expertise. Step 3, I'm going to create a digital marketing plan to build awareness. I'm going to look into local promotional opportunities, and I'm going to create an area of influencer contacts. So I'm going to, for Masterpiece Exteriors, we're trying to get into the Middleton market a little bit more. I'm going to look into these influencers that might be referrals for that help referrals. Okay. My job description, okay, how I'm going to describe this internally to myself, to my husband, to my digital marketing team, anybody that's creating some media for me, right? My job is we're trying to generate awareness in Middleton area of Masterpiece Exteriors and our ability to provide whole home improvement. Focus will be on a specific skill sets of our crew and time and attention to details during the estimating process. Campaign is scheduled to run April 1 to June 1st. Okay, this helps the people around you, your internal team and your external team, understand the timing and information around it. I've done my research. I've vetted out different digital agencies, Google, all these people, and I've selected an 8-week geofencing campaign to include retargeting ads. Locally, I'm going to do a 4-week print ad campaign in local paper. I'm going to do inside sales and finance to provide marketing with contact lists, marketing to craft email message to build awareness. And we'll need to create a landing page. I'm thinking through the customer journey, right? I need to create a landing page for the above effort. So I always want people to be coming back to the same landing page. Okay. This step 4, jumping from step 3 to step 4 takes research, takes getting proposals. It takes talking with people, that spreadsheet with your marketing calendar. It takes putting that, getting that put together so you can kind of see the timing of everything. But what that step 3 to step 4, once I've kind of got all the puzzle pieces and put it together, this is where your job description starts to come together. And it starts to build, it's information and detail that the folks around you need in order to be successful for you, right? I don't want you paying me for something you're not happy with, but I need information from you. You can't assume I know what's in your head. Okay, so working with external partners, synergy or headache. Okay, we just had someone just speak up about, I don't know if I should pull the trigger with a marketing person. Is it synergy? Are you working together? Or is it a headache, right? It's kind of nerve-wracking. But again, their success is dependent on you. Kickoff calls applied to both. So if you want to have an event coming up, pull your digital agency, your radio guy, your email newsletter person, and your web guy. Get everybody on a phone call and say, hey, I've got an event in a month. Here's my job description, and here's what I want to do. If you can't find vendors, marketing people, agencies, radio, whoever, if you can't find vendors or partners that can play in the sandbox together, get rid of them, okay? They need to be able to work together and have professional conversations because they play off each other too, okay? So then everybody's on the same timeline and the same boards. If you're working with external people, make sure you're setting expectations. You don't have to go into this, but for me, when I've got a big campaign coming up and I've got a lot of media partners, I'll write an overview, my communication objectives, my asks, and things like that. So, make sure you're documenting or thinking through, or at least in an email, setting expectations of what you're looking for. Brand requirements, okay? You don't have to go into this, but if you have a logo and you really like a certain color with your logo, or you do or don't want your logo being used that way, let them know what your brand requirements are, okay? What is it that you do or don't want your things to look like? See how Netflix have these little circles? This is how not to use Netflix logo, right? They don't want to assume people know what not to use, so they're putting it out there. Have a joint partner meeting, and I told you that. And tip, same rules apply for your internal team. Don't leave your internal team out of any of these conversations. It's really good for them to know that you have an event coming up in a month, and here's what's going on, and here's the expectation for them. Okay. Marketing is not a set it or forget it initiative, and I talked about this earlier. Tracking and reporting, I know it's really boring, and a lot of times we don't understand Google Analytics and what is it trying to tell me. But it's important that you understand when you put a campaign out there, if you're creating your brand, if you got a website that you are building or you have built, how do you track and report how your website is doing? Where are people spending time on your website? You know, it helps you figure out, you know, success. What are the tracking mechanisms available? You know, so just understanding tracking and reporting and what's available to you. So if you are working with a digital agency, this is really important. Make sure you have a conversation with them about, you know, how are you going to report back to me on a monthly basis what's going on? And if they say, we will send you a PDF or a link to Google Analytics for you to look at, I want you to challenge them and say, that's great, but I'd like to meet with you on a monthly basis so you can tell me what you're seeing. You need to leverage their expertise to tell you what they're seeing in a positive or negative way. You need to know the definitions of things and understand it enough, but have them come to the table with their expertise, because that's what you're paying them for, right? You're not just paying them to turn the green light on and run a digital campaign for you. Make sure that they're coming to the table at the end of the month or the end of the campaign and bringing their expertise to the table, and not just reviewing or regurgitating what Google Analytics is telling you. So again, my 2 cents for you for today is, if you want something out of marketing, you really need to be willing to invest your time. It's a lot of think time, but I hope that when we went through those examples, you could see how when we went from generic business goals to specific business goals, how that sets the next kind of phases in your marketing needs up for success. If you just jump to your marketing plan, or you just jump to I want to do radio, you're guessing, right? You're guessing that that's where you should be. You're guessing on who your audience is and what your main message is. So do the due diligence. That worksheet is probably going to push you outside of your comfort zone, and it's meant to do that. But I really want you to start that process either with yourself or your team to enable the next steps to be successful. So here's the takeaways from today. You know, what's your goal? What's your approach? What's your plan? What's your message? What's your strategy, your content strategy, the hub and spoke model we talked about? What's the job description, right? Got to be able to put on pen on paper what it is your job is, and how will you track and report it? So on your worksheet, on the very last part, I want you, it's question number, it says next steps, and it's on page 3. I'd love for you to be able to write down for yourself, what are 3 takeaways from today? And what are the first things you need to do about them? You know, do you need to educate yourself about Instagram? Do you need to understand what SEO versus SEM means? And that's okay. Google is your best friend, or your digital agency partner. But think about what are your next steps for that, so that your time spent this morning moves the needle along in your marketing efforts. So we talked about, this was the agenda. We did some marketing myths. We talked about what is marketing. We talked about a disciplined approach, how you evaluate and select a marketing direction. And then I gave some tips and tricks for execution. And I know that was in the weeds, but it really does make a huge difference on the outcome of your agenda or on your marketing. This year, I launched a coaching service through my business. So this isn't me executing your marketing for you. This isn't me doing your digital agency or creative stuff. This is me meeting with you once a week to talk about, first, we'll talk about your business goals, your strategy, your plan, and then I set you up with next steps. So what do you need to be thinking about? What do you need to be working on? So I am the teacher, you are the student. So far it's been going really well with a couple of my clients that I have, but I will say this, you need to be willing to take the initiative to learn. You need to take initiative to do and try. It's not me writing anything for you. I'm your marketing coach. So if it's something that you're thinking about or would like to talk about, let me know. These are the ways to get a hold of me. I'm on LinkedIn. Feel free to send me a request on LinkedIn. Shoot me a note in the messages and just let me know that you met me this morning here so I know where you came from. If you want to give a shout out on LinkedIn or Facebook about this morning, that would be great as well. And then my website is there as well. Is there any questions? Feel free to either unmute or you can feel free to put something in the chat. Is there any questions about what we talked about today? And we have time.
This might be a little too specific, but you mentioned social media and we think of Facebook. And I've been told, that we should put out Facebook messages about 2 to 3 times a day.
Mhm.
And I hear other people say, man, if I saw that, that would just turn me off.
Mhm.
Is there a right or wrong way to do that?
Well, my answer is probably not the same as what you find when you Google that question. My answer is not whether you should be doing it 3 times a day or 3 times a week. My response to that is, what are you going to be most consistent with and what can you stick with? So if you don't feel you have enough to talk about or enough time or creativity to do 3 engaging posts a day, then don't. If you feel like 3 a week is going to be pushing it, then I would be consistent with your time, Sunday evenings at 6, or, what I would do is probably look at your website and your Facebook analytics to see when people are on your website or when your audience is on Facebook. And I would time my post accordingly. And I would mix those 3 times a week up with, and this goes back to your calendar, right? I would mix it up between something that's about your business and your brand of who you are, how you got started, maybe a little bit about you and Ginny, things like that. Then I would create another one that's maybe a video of your studio or of you guys making some of your product. And then the third one might be more promotional and call to action of, our shop is open, or here are our studio hours, come visit, we've got cookies today. I don't know, things like that. So I would say as a small business owner, it feels like when we start Facebook, we get really excited. I'm going to post every day and I'm going to get so much traction and it's going to be great. And then it starts off really strong for the first 2-3 weeks and you're on there every day and it's great. But then reality catches up with us and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I don't have time for that. So again, I go back to one of the first things I talked about is I'm more about consistency and longevity than I am being there with what the reports tell you to be. So do what you're comfortable with, Tom, and just make sure the content is engaging and what you're trying to drive people to do, and you'll have more success than being on there 3 times a day. For some brands like Nike, 3 times a day makes sense, right? They have a huge customer base, and so 3 times a day makes sense for them. For you guys, probably not. I would agree that's probably a little overwhelming. So I'd back off, but just whatever you can be comfortable with. And the other thing about social media, I pre-write my posts for my clients. So I get a spreadsheet and there's 30 boxes on it and we come up with themes. So the brand, a video or engagement interaction, and then a sale. And I'll pre-write the posts for the month. And it's overwhelming at first. You're like, how can I come up with 30 posts in a setting? Well, it doesn't. It takes a little bit, but I write them out and then I sit back and I look and I think about them and I look at the different types of content. And then I use Facebook's scheduler and I load them up and then I'm done. So it's an investment in time. But once you get those posts loaded up and you're done for the month, it feels really good. And then you don't have to think about it. So that's a little trick I do is I write them out and then I use Facebook scheduler to post them.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else have any questions? There's no dumb questions. If you have it, I'm sure somebody else does.
Is there a tool or like a tip that you have for figuring out what hashtags to use?
Mm. Yeah, so I don't have a tool to send you to, but if you asked me to do that, what I would do is I would take a couple days and with my team or myself and just brainstorm hashtags that are really specific to my brand. Maybe it's Weber marketing. And then ones that relate to the problem I'm solving or what I'm trying to promote. And then I'd sort of whittle it down to my top 10 that I like. And I would probably first research ones that are already in use and see if I want to be associated to them or not, and cross off the list from there and narrow in. Think about with hashtags, is it short term or is it long term? And again, I'd probably think about if it's in use. And I don't think you need like 10 of them. You know, again, I go with the consistency. I'll tell you what mine are: Weber marketing, Marketing Matters, and Chew on This Marketing. So those are the 3 hashtags that I use in LinkedIn and sometimes Facebook, but they relate to pretty much every type of post I put out there, and I'm consistent with it. So no, I don't have a specific tool, but that's probably what I would do, is brainstorm a bunch of ideas, think, are they short-term, long-term, and then research if they're already in use. And if they are already in use, but not by a really well-known brand and they're not very consistent and it's not something super obnoxious that you don't want to be associated with, then use it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else have any other questions? Was it too overwhelming or was this helpful?
Very helpful.
Good.
Yes, helpful.
Good. Does anyone else have any questions? I feel like do you want to start with something? Do you want to go back to the business goals, strategy, planning? Do you want to see that consumer journey map again? We have time. Not that I don't want to like keep you here till 11 if we don't need to.
Do you use SMART goals when you're trying to do the business goals, or is that too much?
No, I actually, yes, SMART. If you're not familiar with SMART goals, it's a great thing to sort of bank. Let's see, I wanted to quick Google it for you guys. Yes, use SMART goals if you can. Can you see my screen yet? No, I stopped sharing. Sorry, hold on. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. I got 2 screens going on. Here we go. So somebody, I can't, oh, where is it? What does SMART goals stand for again? Do you remember? Here they are. Sorry, I'm getting there. I'm looking it up on Google. If you don't use Google as a business, I'm sure you guys, do you guys use Google a lot, looking things up?
Yes.
Yes, it's like my best friend. I don't know why my screen is not shrinking here. Here we go. Okay, I'm gonna share again. Sorry about that. Okay. Now you can see it, right?
Yep.
Okay. So SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound. So it's checkpoints, if you will, when you're developing your business goals to kind of think through, are they specific enough, which we talked about, right? Measurable. So I don't know if you saw in my business goals that I used as an example, but I had like 10% market share by end of 2021, right? So it is really good to put measurements, whether it be dollar amounts, percentage, or timeline, that help you focus in when you want to meet those goals. Achievable, within your scope, right? We talked about that. I think I positioned it as what's realistic. Can you accomplish it? Relevant and time bound. So state when you'll get it done. I already talked about that. So yes, I would absolutely recommend when you're thinking of your business goals to sort of bounce off the SMART goal here that they have listed and just think about it. Great question. And thank you for bringing that up. Any other questions? Don't be afraid.
Can you talk to us a little bit about your coaching?
Sure. I'll use an example. So I taught a class at UW Small Business Development Center, their thing in December. And she was an attendee just like you guys. And she called me afterwards and said, I'm starting a small business she makes homemade dog food. And I don't know where, she's like, I took really good notes from your presentation. And then when I got back to my desk, I couldn't do it. And, it was just, and that's normal. So we meet once a week on Tuesday mornings at 9 via Zoom. And we started with the basics of, before we met, she had to come to our first session with her business goals written out. And we just talked through what if the business goals were too generic, if they were specific enough. And then we used the rest of the time to sort of draft out a strategy. What was going to be the approach to achieving those business goals? And then we left that first session, and her, I'm using quotes, homework for the week was to think through plan ideas. So she had to take each one of her goals and the strategies and come up with a business or a marketing plan for each of them, little things that she was going to be able to accomplish. And we've started meeting in December, and here we are in July. And we still do the same, and we're just implementing a lot of those things that she's doing on a weekly basis through her marketing plan and attending events. And we did some direct mail stuff. We worked on her website, or, I didn't, I gave her feedback, and then she worked with her agency to make the changes to her website. She works with a printer to get her direct mail. She learned Canva. It's an online design tool that I use too to do design stuff. Are you guys familiar with Canva? I can bring it up. But anyway, I charge $75 an hour. I do, it's a minimum of 2 hours a week. I really haven't had to run into a maximum, but the 1 hour is for us to meet online or in person. Actually, I do Zoom. It's easier because a lot of times we're researching and sharing screens and stuff like that. We're collaborating. And then the other hour is for now, she sends stuff sort of back and forth to me. She'll create a direct mail piece, or right now she just launched her digital campaign. And so she sent me the results that her agency sent you. Remember I said, if you work with a digital agency, make sure they're not just sending you a PDF of Google Analytics. So I'm giving her questions to ask them so that they can give their feedback. So I'm kind of the behind the scenes marketing director for you, but you're the hands-on person. You're the one initiating the conversations. You're the one doing the legwork. I'm just trying to help you get in the right direction. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're not familiar with Canva, if there's any graphic designers on this call, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to take business away from you. Graphic designers are needed. I use them all the time. But if there's something that I need to just do myself, or I actually have somebody that helps me create templates and stuff like that, Canva is, there is a free version of it, but you can pay for it too. But if you need to create, a poster, you can come in here and, free. You can select a template and then you put your own content in it. And then you can download a PDF, PNG, which is used in social media and things like that. So it's a great design tool that I definitely utilize when money's tight for me, which is pretty much every day. And then when I'm trying to just play around with things for myself. So I would just say though, if you use Canva, make sure each of your pieces still look like your brand. Okay, so don't reinvent your brand each piece that you do for yourself. It's still got to live within your brand. I get this question a lot too. What did I build my website off of? So this is my website. I got off of WordPress because it was too hard for me to manage on my own. And I wanted to be in more control of my website. So I use Wix. And well, I guess it's going to show you all my website stuff, but that's fine. I still had somebody build it for me because I didn't know the parts and pieces that everything that needed to be involved. But it's pretty easy then for me to come in and manage, content and stuff like that. And, I'm behind on my blogs right now, but, I could post my own blogs. I can go in and change pages, the content on the pages and things like that. So if you're looking at website design stuff, I think Weebly's the same thing, similar as Wix. So just investigate the two of them, or if you're going to have somebody build it for you, ask them what you would do. Any other Wix users out there?
So okay.
No, go ahead.
You talked, you mentioned a landing page quite a few times. Is that something you consider that a part of the the website, or different from it?
It's part of it. So whomever builds your site or you work with to build your site, a landing page it can be a couple different things. So if I'm just building awareness about me, my landing page might be my homepage that I'm sending let's say I'm sending an email out, right? And I talking about Weber marketing and I want to drive people someplace. My homepage might be where I want to drive people. But the other thing is, if I want people to, what do I do? See how in the URL it went Weber marketing /what? So this is a page on my site, but it would be considered a landing page. Now, let's say, I created another page for my Chew on This marketing stuff. So I created a separate page for this, and this is where I sent people that when I did my Chew on This marketing webinar series, this is the landing page that I sent people. So it is a part of your site. Sometimes it's in the top navigation, like mine are right here. And sometimes it's called hidden, which means it's not in your navigation, but people can still get to it by /product X, Y, and Z. Or if you have a special that's going on that ends at the end of July, July event. So yours might be .com/July events or July promotion or something like that. So it can be specific to whatever it is that you're sending out, but it can be hidden. Does that help?
Yes,
okay.
I think it does. I mean, because I've seen sometimes, different authors who maybe they're releasing a new book. And I would imagine the landing page would be something that they would do, and they change it when, they get a new one. Okay.
Yep. So their landing page might be .com book 1. Landing page might be .com book 1 Madison, and that might be their Madison release party where they want people to RSVP for the book signing.
Gotcha.
And again, you know, I talked about following the consumer journey, you know, so making sure that whatever you do in that hub and spoke model, you've got your main message and then you've got your spoke. And I said, make sure you follow the consumer path. That's what that really is making sure that when you send an email out inviting people to your book signing in Madison, that when they click on the link to RSVP, they're taken to a page that looks similar to the invite that they just got. So it looks like they're in the same brand, same communication piece, and it's not confusing. So don't create friction or guessing when you send stuff out or you're asking consumers to do something for you. If you create friction or confusion, you're going to lose them. So it's really important that your public outbound communication relates to whatever your call to action or whatever your action is that you're asking people to do. Yes. Okay. I saw some messages. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Nope. Okay. Thank you for the comments, everybody. Appreciate that. Any other questions? I think we just have like 4 more minutes. Any last one? Does everybody have next steps marked on their sheet? I hope so. I'm really big on takeaways. I want to make sure you have action items for yourself and can put something into action for yourself.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah.
Yeah.
All this information was so valuable, and I can already tell so many of these people have taken away so much information. So thank you for that.
Yep.
I will send a follow-up email as well later this afternoon with a recording of today. And then also I will include Sarah's contact information. So if you think of a question later this morning or, you know, a couple weeks from now and you want to reach out to Sarah, feel free to do so. And Sarah, if you could send me a copy of your presentation, that would be awesome. I'll include that in the email as well.
Yep.
But if we don't have any other questions, I think we will conclude today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for the invite again.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Yep. Thank you. Have
Thanks
a good day,
everyone
everyone.
for joining us. Bye-bye.
Yep, thank you.
Very informative. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.